Blessed are those who take no offense at me. I guess it was always the same. People liked to take offense when they hear things that they don't want to hear. John the Baptist told people things that they didn't want to hear. He was what we will call a mensch. Some of you, if you come from Brooklyn, you might understand Yiddish, like I do. You know what a mensch is? He's a real man, that one. A real man. He's a straight shooter. He tells it how it is. That's John the Baptist. A real man, straight shooter. He told it how it was. And, of course, as I said, there are people who took offense at what he said. Now, he spoke about, in particular, a situation that involved Herod and the woman he was living with. Her name was Herodias. And they were living in what we call sinful concubinage. It was really his sister-in-law. And so at least we have one instance where, for sure, we know where someone took offense at John the Baptist, and it was Herodias and her lovely daughter, Salome, who danced for the head of John the Baptist. And why were they offended? Well, he dared to say, "Madam, you are living in adultery." And so they got offended. Now, I doubt that many of you would be offended if I talked today about the evils of adultery. However, one never knows. I'm continually amazed with what we condemned in the past is now celebrated today. So I wouldn't be surprised, maybe not too long down the road, we might have a adultery pride parade. We'll see. I hope I'm wrong. We'll see. Suppose John the Baptist came back today. What are some of the things that you think that the Baptist might be challenging people on? Well, I think that the Baptist would certainly challenge people, especially politicians, who claim to be Catholic and are yet pro-abortion. I think he would have some problems with them, especially those who claim to be good Catholics. He'd have big problems with them. That's one area I think John the Baptist would challenge people on, and of course, some would be offended. What would be another area that John the Baptist might have something to say about and challenge people on? Maybe the celebration of disordered sexual expression, LGBTQ+. Maybe John the Baptist would have a problem with that. I just saw over the recent days that even the Hallmark Channel, which is supposed to be family-oriented, had a commercial with two brides kissing each other. And the 1 Million Moms organization, they protested, and now Hallmark says, well, we're going to pull the commercial. I think John the Baptist might have a problem with that. What else might he have a problem with? Some of you may have been reading in the papers, watching on television. There was what we call the Synod of the Amazon. It took place in Rome last month. And as part of the preparation, they had a prayer service, and they wheeled into the Vatican, a pagan statue called Pachamama. Pachamama is a fertility goddess from the Amazon. I think John the Baptist might have a problem with that. Remember the first commandment, I am the Lord thy God, thou shalt not have strange gods before me? I think that's a problem. He challenged the politicians on abortion. He challenged the politically correct culture. He challenges church leaders, the Pharisees and the Sadducees, worshiping false gods, bringing false images into the church. And he challenges individuals. He challenges individuals. Let me give you an example. Over the last week, it has come to my attention through the media that Sean Hannity, some of you might have heard of him. Sean Hannity has announced that he is no longer a Catholic because of mismanagement in the Catholic Church. But now that he left, he says he feels closer to Jesus than ever. You know what that's called? A fake, phony fraud. That's what it's called, a fake, phony fraud. Any organization, especially a big organization, and especially one that is as old as the Catholic Church, is bound to experience mismanagement, sometimes greater than others. But you don't leave the church. You stay. It's like leaving the family, saying, look, my family's messed up, but I got to stay and put the family back together again. And then to announce it scandalizes people. And other people say, well, maybe he has a point. He does not have a point. The church is the church instituted by Christ. Within the church, we have all the doctrines, all the revelation that God gives us to help us toward our salvation, and all the sacraments that God gives us to help us to get to heaven. So, John the Baptist would challenge those fake, phony frauds who think they're making a statement by leaving the Catholic Church. The people who are for real are the people who stay and work to make the situation better. Now, John the Baptist was talking about the coming of Christ, the beginning of the reign of the Messiah, the time of judgment. Would you be offended by a modern-day John the Baptist? Would you do a dance for his head? Would you dox him? Would you cancel him? Would you boycott him? Well, if you say yes, you're not ready to meet Christ. But if you say, well, maybe he has a good point, well, then you might hear the words of Christ. Come to me, blessed of my Father, because you suffered for the truth, and the kingdom of heaven will be yours. God love you.